When Prince died in 2016, he left behind a $300 million estate and no will. 8 years later, his family's still fighting in court. Legal fees have eaten up millions, and the IRS is demanding another $100 million in taxes. One of the most brilliant musicians of our time made the same 3 estate planning mistakes that I see destroy ordinary families every single day. And I'm going to show you in the next 8 minutes what those mistakes were so you can avoid them for your family. I'm Mike Smith with Smith Barrett LLC. I'm one half of the estate planning guys. Over the past 3 decades, I've watched families tear themselves apart over money they thought would bring them together. But I've also helped hundreds of families avoid this nightmare completely. Here's what we're covering today: what probate actually is, the 3 biggest mistakes that cause family wars, and the simple steps that you can take right now to protect your family from chaos. And if this sounds like something you need to know, hit that like button so we know to make more videos like this one. So let's start with the basics. What is probate? So think of it like this: when someone dies, their stuff doesn't automatically go to their family. There's a legal process to make sure that everything gets handled properly, and that's probate. So here's what actually happens. First, someone files paperwork with the court saying, hey, this person died and we need to wrap up their affairs. Then that person, called an executor or personal representative, makes a list of everything the deceased owned, pays off any debts, and finally distributes what's left to the family. So that sounds simple, right? It should be, but here's where it goes wrong. Most people think probate is this scary, expensive monster that's going to eat their inheritance. The truth: probate itself isn't the problem. It's the mistakes that people make that turn a straightforward process into a family nightmare. So let me tell you about a family we're going to call Sarah's family. Sarah thought that her mom's will was crystal clear. It said, everything is split equally between my 3 children. Sounds fair, right? So when mom passed away, they discovered that the family home was worth $800,000. And mom also had $200,000 cash in the bank. So Sarah wanted to sell the house and then split the cash up evenly among the 3 of them. Her brother, on the other hand, wanted to keep the house in the family, and then her sister wanted to buy out the other 2 siblings and keep the house for herself, but she couldn't afford to do that. So equal suddenly wasn't as simple as it seemed. And this went on for a couple of years. The legal fees ate up about $60,000 of the estate, and the siblings haven't spoken since. This is mistake number 1, being vague about your wishes. Here's mistake number 2, and this one's huge. It's not communicating while you're alive. I had a client, let's call him Robert. He had 2 kids from his first marriage and 2 from a second marriage, and he wanted to be fair. So he left everything equally to his 4 children. That all sounds pretty reasonable, doesn't it? But here's what Robert never told them. He'd already paid for his first 2 kids to go to college and helped them buy their first homes. The younger kids knew about this, but the older ones had forgotten about it. So when Robert died, the younger kids were kind of, furious. They were like, well, we're getting the same inheritance as our siblings, but they already got their share. And the older kids were confused. They said, Dad never told us that this, was supposed to be any different. So nobody was wrong in this situation, but nobody knew what fair actually meant to Robert. So the result for this family was a 3-year legal battle that cost more than the inheritance itself. If you're thinking about your own family situation right now, you're not alone. Drop a comment below and let me know what's your biggest concern about leaving an inheritance to your family. Mistake number 3 is the one that catches most families off guard: choosing the wrong person to handle everything. Meet the Johnson family. Dad appointed his eldest son, David, as executor because, well, he was the oldest and that seemed logical. And we have clients all the time who say, well, I'll just have my oldest child do this job. But the problem here is that David lived across the country and he worked 80-hour weeks. And honestly, he wasn't that great with the details or, frankly, with people. Meanwhile, his sister Lisa was a CPA, and she lived 10 minutes from their parents, and she'd been helping with their finances for years. But she wasn't chosen because, well, tradition, I guess. David struggled with the paperwork, and it took him months to respond to his siblings, and he made decisions without consulting anyone. So this left Lisa feeling, really excluded from the process and angry. And the youngest brother felt like David was probably hiding something. So what should have been a 6-month process stretched into 2 years of family drama, all because dad picked based on birth order instead of who had the actual qualifications to do the job. Okay, so how do you avoid these mistakes? First, be specific in your will. Don't just say split everything equally. Say exactly what you mean. The house goes to Sarah, but she needs to pay John and Lisa $50,000 each from the sale of my rental property. Clear, specific, no room for misinterpretation there. Second, have the awkward conversation while you're alive. I know, nobody wants to talk about death and money. I get it, but you know what's worse than an awkward conversation? Your kids fighting over your grave. So call a family meeting, explain your reasoning. I'm leaving more to Sarah because she's my caregiver for 5 years. I'm giving the business to John because he's worked there for 20 years, etc. When people understand why, they're less likely to fight about the what. Third, pick your executor based on ability, not tradition. Choose someone who lives nearby, has time, is good with details, and this part's crucial, can handle family drama without taking sides. So someone who's a good communicator and can facilitate communication among other family members. Sometimes that's not a family member at all. Sometimes it's a trusted family friend or even a professional, and that's okay. Now here's a pro tip most people don't know. You can avoid probate entirely from most of your assets with something called a revocable living trust. And it's not just for rich people, it's for smart people who want to make things easier for their families. We've got tons of videos explaining exactly how trusts work, and we'll link those in the description below. But the bottom line is this: the best probate battle is the one that never happens. So let me recap. Probate doesn't have to destroy families. There are 3 mistakes that cause problems. Number 1, being vague in your will. Number 2, not communicating your wishes during your lifetime. And number 3, choosing the wrong executor. Fix those things and you'll save your family from years of heartache and thousands in legal fees. If this helped you understand probate better, hit that like button and subscribe for more estate planning tips that actually make sense. And remember, the best time to handle this stuff is while you're healthy and thinking clearly. Don't wait until it's too late. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.